We have seen that a conceptualization is a mapping between symbols used in the computer, which is known as the vocabulary of the ontology, and the individuals and relations in the world. It provides a particular abstraction of the world and notation for that abstraction. And we have also seen two definitions regarding ontology. The philosophical definition is that ontology is the study of what exists in the world. And when it comes to the artificial intelligence, it is a specification of the meanings of the symbols in an information system. So here in particular we can say that it is the symbols that is representing some concept in the world. Different people have their liberty to have their own concepts about an object, but the problem is when these peoples are being interrelated, whether it is based on communication or some other things, then they should have an interoperability. So some definition or standards must be followed for defining an object, so that one person will have a concept about that object, and similarly the other person who is having a concept should at least come nearby to these concepts. So the concepts must be somewhat equal in different people. So that is the we have to handle. So let us see this with an example. So for that we are using a model. Typically it specifies what types of individuals will be modeled, specifies what properties will be used, and it gives some axioms that restrict the use of that vocabulary. So the conceptualization level is being restricted with some axioms or rules or definitions. So we are considering an example of mapping a concept to a symbol, and the symbol we are using here is an apartment building. So we can say that apartment building is a building. So the building will be having some properties, and that properties should be followed in that concept. We already know a building will not be a small object like a box or like a shoe, something like that. A building will be having a structure. So that such properties must be followed. Another thing is a building cannot exist at two geographical locations at the same time. So some standard rules will be associated with an object, so that some similarities can be brought in between the concepts of different people. So the ontology will not define an apartment building, but it will describe it well enough so that others can understand the definition according to their concept. So this is the object. Suppose that 3 persons are seeing this object. It's a building, and the definition says that it is a residential building, so it can be thought in different ways by different people. Some may see this as a flat. Some others may see it as apartment complex. Some others may view it as a condos. Condos is a group of apartments owned by different people. So the same building is being viewed or understood by different people in different ways. So let this be an example. So ontology may give axioms to restrict the use of some symbols. For example, it may specify that apartment buildings are buildings which are human constructed artifacts. So the basic axiom we use here is that building is an object or a structure being constructed by human being. It is not naturally grown up or something like that. So it is human constructed structure. It may give some restriction on the size of the building, so that small boxes cannot be building or that cities cannot be building. So we are having different objects in the world, and from that object we can easily extract the objects which belong to the class building based on the structure, based on the size or shape or the locality it resides, and based on all these things we can group this object into a class called as building. So that property should be accepted by the object that has been just shown now. So that is an axiom. Then it may state that a building cannot be at two geographically dispersed locations at the same time. So this is another axiom. An object or a building cannot be at two locations at the same time. We can shift a building from one location to another location if it is made of such materials, such components, so that the shifting is possible. Otherwise, a building will stay up to its demolishment in a location where it is being constructed. Because apartment buildings are buildings, these restrictions also apply to apartment buildings. So we are defining a building, and if apartment building belongs to that class of buildings, the apartment buildings also should follow the properties followed by the class building. So likewise, we can group the objects which have some similar attributes or characteristics that can be attained by the objects which belongs to a class, so that we are giving freedom for the conceptualization as well as we are restricting the wideness of the conceptualization by applying some axioms with the help of the characteristics of grouping these objects into different classes. So in short, we can say that ontology refers to the method of assigning meaning to an object, and this assignment belongs to or relates to individuals who are using or viewing the object, and different people have the liberty to have their own concept about an object, but that should be related so that it can be used in a globalized way, so that the object that is existing in the world will have almost similar concepts when different people handle those concepts. So the study of such system is known as ontology.